Hi, and welcome to the Dingers Podcast, episode 53. This is your host, Mitch. I'm here with my boys, Jeff and Kevin. How are you guys tonight?
Oh, not too bad. How are you two fellas? Kevin, we missed you at the gym this morning.
Yeah, I didn't miss not going to the gym. I went for a run today, though. Was up a little late last night. Oldest is up to some tomfoolery, so didn't get to sleep like I wanted to. So then decided, you know what, that workout didn't look like fun. Just moving on. It looked terrible.
It wasn't at all.
Fun.
It was about as much fun as watching the Cubs currently right now.
Yeah.
That's about how much fun it was. This podcast episode is presented to you by Chi City Sports. If you're interested in all things Chicago sports, this is your place. Go check out all the forums, all the great podcasts. The Bears podcast is amazing, and the Bears are looking to be good this year. So go check out the Bears podcast, the White Sox podcast. They're good. Might as well check out a winning team's podcast. And the Bulls. Every team in Chicago is doing well except for us. It's not a good time.
We'll get there. We're doing well, just in the reverse.
Yeah. Fly the W for the L.
Yep.
Kind of thing. So go check out ChiCitySports.com. Usually at this point we do our Crack a Beer Player of the Week, and
It's just brought to you by Toppling Goliath Brewing Company,
Oh,
Decorah, Iowa.
get that out of here because none of these guys deserve a reward right now
Too bad,
or an
still.
award. So, the only guy, Frank the Tank, is carrying this team. So we're not going to crack our beer for that. What we're going to do is we're going to crack our beer because it's Tankathon watch, guys. So crack our beer to full on Tankathon.
It's so good to suck right now.
Toppling Goliath is going to get us through these hard times. What are you guys drinking?
I
don't
got
know.
I got a pseudo suit here. I'll tell you what, this thing's got some repeatable drinkability to it.
Oh, do you gonna have to go get another one? Because
I got one in the fridge.
oh, okay.
I got
You were
2
going to
ounces
town.
left.
I'm drinking a Dorothy.
Oh,
I
nice.
was
New
gonna
World.
get that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the other one. I got a Pompeii Beach. I've never had that one. It's pretty good. A little bit of pineapple. It's not overpowering pineapple though.
What
for
was,
folks who aren't fans?
Kevin, what was the double we had last week? Was it
Soul Hunter.
The Soul Hunter and the pseudo
Mm-hmm.
suit both have just a hint of grapefruit, which I'm not a fruit to beer guy, but this is pretty tasty.
Yeah.
So
Like I drink this at a bonfire when it's as hot as hell, and you're wondering why the hell am I standing around a fire? It's 100.
Yeah, that always happens at least a couple nights of the summer. It's like, let's do a bonfire. It's 104. The feel is 104. I don't want to be near that thing. And you light a fire and you sit 30 feet away from
Away
it.
from it.
Yeah.
Why don't we ever put our feet in coolers full of ice? Just drink beer.
Right. Hey, so brought to you by Toppling Goliath because I'm just going to make it up on the spot. Jeff, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Why did the stadium get hot after the game?
I don't know.
All the fans left.
Ah!
Nah, dad joke.
Dad joke.
Hey, got to have something to laugh about.
Yep. Well, I laugh at the Chicago Cubs play because they have now lost 11 straight.
For
No.
the second time.
For the second time, and they're losing tonight 5-0
Will
currently.
Will they make it a baker's dozen on Wednesday?
Hey, shoot for the moon.
I don't think they're going to win. The big question is, by the time we do our next podcast next week, will they have won a game? That's the real question.
I'm gonna say the odds are they'll win one. They'll get one. They'll break the streak because that's just so insane. But
Who are they playing this weekend?
Well, let's look at the schedule. They're currently playing Cincinnati for a 3-game set, and then they go to KC. Nope, they come home for KC for a 3-game set this weekend, and then home for Colorado, and then with the White Sox the next following weekend. So by next week, they'll start the Colorado series. So they have KC and Cincinnati.
I think they'll take one from Kansas City.
unfortunately for the Tank Watch, we don't want them to take one from
No.
Kansas City.
I thought they were going to win one versus the Marlins because the Marlins are horrible, but that didn't seem to work out for them.
I'll tell you what, on Friday night, they jumped out to an early lead. I'm thinking, well, maybe they can win a ball game tonight. And then
Alcantara decided to single-handedly help.
He's doing God's work out there on the field.
Right. I go to do a couple of things, and I turn the game back on, and I'm like, what the?
3 errors, giving up 5 runs. There you go. Thank you, Alcantara.
Pipes.
For all you that wanted him over Sogard, there you go.
Yeah,
you got it.
Shortstop.
We got receipts.
At this point, do the Cubs still have Sogard's number? They might want to call him up. They're like, why not?
Free agent, still running out there.
He ain't. I don't think the team's picked him up.
We need to try
Unlike
our vaccinated ass out onto the field.
Unlike our old friend Jake Arrieta, last week Jake Arrieta was released by the Cubs, and isn't this like so the Cubs signed Jake Arrieta, or they traded for Jake Arrieta. Scott Feldman trade brought him and Pedro Strop to the Cubs. Pitched great for the Cubs 2014, 2015, 2016. Great years of the Cubs. Will be forever remembered as one of the best pitchers to ever put on the pinstripes and pitch in the friendly confines of Wrigley Field. We love Jake Arrieta. He did amazing things, but this year he has sucked. And so
sucked. It's like cow shit on a white picket fence, man.
What I was explaining that to somebody. They call it the crossfire. Like, what is the?
He steps across his body and he's been thrown.
Right.
But like this year, he hasn't done it as much, and he hasn't got as much movement. His velo is way down. He's an older guy. He's 35, 36 now. He just doesn't have the velocity that he has.
I'll tell you what, maybe doing Pilates for 3 hours and going for a 13-mile bike ride on the day you start might not be a good idea.
To each his own.
I'm just saying, right? Take a nap in the afternoon, Grandpa.
But the thing is here, so the Cubs let Arrieta go to after the 2017 season, 2018, and they signed the one, the only, Yu Darvish.
Bad news.
This offseason, the Cubs traded Darvish, and then they signed Arrieta. And now the Cubs release Arrieta, and the Padres then sign Arrieta to replace Darvish, who is now injured. So cue Elton John and play the circle of life, because that's the way it goes with these two guys. They are forever entwined in their careers, are linked to each other. But now they're on the same team, so they can now lose the second wild card spot and have the Reds pass them, because the Padres have a better starting pitching staff that's on the injured list than the actual staff that they have going for them.
Isn't that nuts? Injuries, man.
Yeah, even if we hadn't traded Darvish, he'd probably would have got hurt, and we'd be in the same boat. Oh no, he would have left at the trade deadline too.
Yep.
That's true.
Other good things before we get into talking about the Cubs. Last week was the Field of Dreams game. We had Tommy Birch on last week talking a lot about the Field of Dreams. We're from Iowa. It was an amazing game. It was beautiful. I loved taking in the beginning with Kevin Costner and then walking out of the corn and everything. And just, hey, White Sox players that are eating field corn. You don't eat field corn, okay?
I think my wife watched it. She was like, so did they have to all go like see their dentist the next day?
Yeah.
Like not great.
I mean, there's a point that you can eat it, but I don't know what it tastes like. I mean, it's soft, but it's
a little milky, but yeah. Anyway, great game.
Sweet corn, you jackass.
But anyway, great game. It was White Sox won on a walk-off dinger by Tim Anderson. It was just perfect. The Iowa sky was beautiful. Just everything was just perfect about that game. And we just find out tonight that August 11th of next year, the Cubs and the Reds will be playing in the Field of Dreams game. I am super excited for that.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I don't know if lightning will strike twice, but I mean, the weather was almost perfect for a ball game out in the middle of a cornfield, other than the high humidity. But whatever. Yeah, I mean, an intimate setting, a small stadium. They didn't try to make a ton of money off the game, but it was the most watched regular season game in the last 16 years.
Yep.
I mean, I think Major League Baseball really hit a home run with it.
Yeah. Here's where one thing. So, girl I was working out next to the day after that game, she's like, now I have never played softball in my life. She's like, I've never played baseball, never watched baseball, but I tuned in to watch that game.
Right.
She that's the stories that you hear. And she's like, it was actually a really good game. She's like, I really enjoyed watching the game. I think I might watch some more baseball. I might go down to an iCubs game. It's like, those are the things that MLB needs to do to draw in those type of fans. Like, it was a win all around. MLB knocked it out of the park. The one thing they've done right in the last 10, 15 years, they finally have done something right.
Did you recommend to her going to an iCubs game before watching the Chicago Cubs? Or?
Yeah. Well, it's pretty much like the same thing right now.
Yeah.
So how many wins could this iCubs roster get?
Hey, they're on a tear.
They're on a tear.
They're on a bit of a tear. Yeah.
So
I happen to know somebody who got a ticket. Her dad was in the lottery, got a ticket, and they went. And her pictures all day were nuts. It's such a small setting and venue. I mean, she even had a video of Kevin Costner walking up onto the stage they had for the pregame stuff because she was standing right there. And it wasn't like there was a security line or anything. It was just they parted ways. He walked through, and then they crowded around again because there wasn't a ton of people. It was beautiful. Did you see? Was it Tommy Birch when he drove up there? He took a picture of a billboard somebody had rented out about the MLB ending the blackout. I thought that was perfect.
See,
hey,
we here in Iowa know how to do it. Know how to send a message to Manfred. Get rid of the blackouts. Yeah. Well,
I did read on Facebook somebody was complaining that they couldn't catch the game on TV and they thought it was a blacked out game. And the first response was, I watched the game at home with a pair of rabbit ears.
Yeah.
Yep. This is the one game that's not blacked out anywhere.
Yep.
Well, this episode is called Tank Watch, and that's what we're about the rest of the season. We're now down 8-0 in the game tonight. So yay, another L. But we're all about the tanking. Let's tank as much as possible. Let's fly the L as much as possible, and let's update you on the draft order, guys.
Hey, quick interrupt. Tank Watch brought to you by Toppling Goliath Brews.
There you go. We're currently sitting in the 8th seed, 13.5 games back of the wild card spot, but only, what would that be, 8 games back of Texas for the 4 seed.
For the number 4?
We can get them.
And that's the question. I've been listening to Locked On Cubs. Shout out Locked On Cubs, Joe Kilgallen. He doesn't think we can get there. And I think he's not giving our Cubs enough credit. Right? I think we can.
There's an 8 loss difference between us and them, and the way we're playing now, I mean, we're going to get a win eventually here, but that doesn't mean we're not going to hit another double-digit losing streak.
And you have to understand, we are in the same season. We have lost 11 straight games, now 12 tonight, 2 double-digit losing streaks. Check this. On June 24th, the Cubs were tied in first place in the NL Central, which was the same day that they played LA and they got the no-hitter with Zach Davies pitching, no-hitter. Since that game, they have won 10 total games. They're 10-35, 10-36 now. And they've had 2 double-digit losing streaks in that time. The 5 seed is not out of reach.
Was it Brett on Bleacher Nation was like, hey, if you take out the 2 losing streaks, we're only 5 games back or something like that?
No, we're over a 500 team.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We're 5 games above 500 or something like that. Oh my.
So I will be posting daily our Tank Watch to our Twitter at Dinger Cubs. Follow us at Dinger Cubs on Twitter, but I'll be updating where we're at.
I think you got to put this draft order thing up there for the Tank Watch, and then you have to have a random Cubs player wearing a tank top, like for Tank Watch or whatever, and they've got
Frank the Tank will be wearing the tank shirt.
There we go.
Perfect.
And he's got to have a whistle, like a lifeguard whistle.
So good.
But let's look at the Cubs schedule going forward and see our Tank Watch and if this is doable. Now look at this. So the Cubs are currently playing Cincinnati. Then they play KC, who is, if you look at the Tank Watch, they're ahead of us. They're 12.5. We're 13.5. So one game back of them.
Just a game back, folks.
We're a game back and moving ahead of them. We could lose 3 straight to them. That's easy. Then we play Colorado. Colorado is currently
a game behind us.
A game behind, so we can separate there, get some separation. Then we play the White Sox, and then we play the Twins. We played the Twins twice in the last month, along with Pittsburgh. We played twice in the last month. Those are teams that we are chasing for that spot. So let's say we lose the 6 to Pittsburgh. That makes up 6 of the 8 that we need to be able to pass them.
Texas.
To get to them in Texas. This is doable, guys. This is doable. We can get a top 4 pick, top 3. Why not top 3?
We got a couple of hamstring injuries that could really help us.
I mean, that'll help.
Ground balls to second base all day.
I didn't realize he was on the injured list. I just thought he wasn't playing.
Right? No, he came off the injured list. That's why he's playing.
Yep.
How many bags of Skittles have you had to get there, Mitch?
He did have a hit yesterday in the 9th inning.
So speaking of this Tank Watch and Jason Hayward, I had a dream the other night that he cost us the 4th pick. He hit 3 dingers in a game and we won one.
Like right at the tail end of the season.
Yeah, I was just sitting there thinking, when we need a base hit, he'll hit it to the second baseman in the ending. When we need him to hit it to the second baseman and get it out, he hits it over the freaking wall, and it costs us an earlier pick.
Oh,
that would be how it works.
That would be how Jason Hayward works.
Yep. Oh, man.
Well, if you are sick of watching the Chicago Cubs on Marquee Sports Network, you're in luck, because Marquee Sports Network they have added a whole bunch of minor league baseball games to their schedule. So if you want to watch your Iowa Cubs, your Pelicans, your Smokies, your South Bend Cubs, here are the games that are available. You can check it out on Watch Marquee. Twitter, they posted all the games. But this is a good opportunity for us, one, to watch our Brennan Davis, watch South Bend team that is just stacked full of fun, exciting players that are going to be coming up. So
I'll tell you what.
I'm going to be watching some of these games.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to catch as many as I can, and I'll tell you why, because it's nice that they're actually putting on some decent programming instead of watching bowling or the fucking National Axe Throwing Championships when the spring training games weren't even on the fucking network.
It's true.
I do want to say that this Dorothy, this is a good beer. I like this.
Oh, yeah.
Was that a hiccup?
Yeah, that's one of the ones I haven't.
No, this is a good beer.
I thought you hiccuped.
I haven't tried Dorothy's yet. I got mine. I think that's going to be my next week. Crack a beer to the Tank Watch beer. Give Dorothy's a good old try. I saw that they're coming out with, was it Dragon Fandango again?
Ooh, that'd be there you go.
I think that's what their Twitter was saying today, except you got to go up there to get it. I'm like, come on.
Of course.
I get it.
Of course. So since we want them to tank so bad, is this one of the worst Cubs teams that we've seen? Like in your lifetime, is this one of the worst Cubs teams that you've watched or witnessed?
I think 2012 was pretty bad too.
Yeah.
Well, in 2012, they won 61 games. They're 61 and 101. Currently, right now, we're 52 and 68.
We got a fat chance.
Will we beat that record?
We got
61.
And what do we got? Like 45 games left?
So
ish.
No, we don't have 45.
Do we got 36? What's the record?
Math is hard.
59 and
What's their current record? Their current record is 52-68.
Kevin, do the math.
That's 120 games we played so far.
So there is 42 games left.
So can they win?
I have no idea if they
can they win 9?
Well, since June 24th, they're 10-34.
So that's wow.
So if they keep that pace, they're gonna be right there.
Well, they're not gonna win this game because the Red Sox played it 4 more runs.
Yeah, so it's 11-0.
It's 11-0.
Hey guys, remember when we had that lockdown bullpen? That was nice.
Oh yeah, we were 35-1 at one time. If we were leading past the 6th inning,
I'm gonna bird walk here a little bit. So lockdown bullpen. I'm kind of tired of seeing Kimbrel come in the 8th inning for the White Sox. Like, I know that they pretty much have 2 closers, but they keep using Kimbrel in the 8th and using Hendricks. What is it? Hendricks.
Hendricks.
Yeah, Hendricks as the 9th guy.
He's pulling saves like crazy.
Right. It's like, dude, figure LaRussa. Look at the room. Figure it out.
You have one of a Hall of Fame closer on your staff.
Is his dementia getting that bad?
Wait, I thought it was
you traded for a closer and you're pitching him in the 8th. It's not my roster, but whatever.
Right. Sorry, birdwalk. Yeah, that's interesting. 10-34. Can they actually win 9 more out of less games? I don't know.
We've seen some really bad Cubs teams. Like 2005, they won 79 games. 2002, they won 67 games. In 1999, they won 67 games.
So 2000.
In 1994, they were 49 and 64, but that was the strike shortened season.
Yeah. So 09, is that like the year that like Lou Piniella was gone? Was here like 06, 7, 8?
I can't. It was the year after. Yep, it was the year after the loss and then the NLDS.
Yes.
Yep. So Piniella is still there around.
Oh, he was.
Because Piniella got axed in 2010, and Quaddy took over.
I just feel like those teams of those 3 years, they always got bounced in the first round of the playoffs because they didn't have anybody with any playoff experience on the team, really, other than like Derek Lee and Todd Hollinsworth.
I don't know. It's interesting when I think about the 2012 team compared to this team. Like, there are individual pieces on this team that I think are better than the folks that were on the 2012 team, but they're not all firing at the same time. Or it's like, sure, we'll play 10 runs against the Marlins, but we'll give up 14, so we still lose,
Yeah.
So question with that. Who out of this team, let's say we try to go for it next year, because I think, hey, you can still be competitive next year in this division. It's still doable. I don't know if you guys believe me, but I believe that it's very doable for us to be competitive. Who on this team could we keep and could play a factor into our future?
Well, I would keep Wisdom, Duffy, Ortega, Willie. I mean, I wasn't going to say Willie, but he was an obvious.
Frank the Tank.
Yeah, Frank Schwindel.
I don't know. That's getting to be a lot of guys.
And the thing is, like when I'm thinking about those guys, it's not that they're going to be cornerstone pieces. It's that they're going to be bench guys. Those are going to be the guys that could possibly play a role. Like Ortega, he has a place in an outfield as a backup 4th outfielder.
Yeah,
that can play center field. He can play left. He can play right. He could move around and play those positions.
Right. These are going to be like kind of like your journeyman.
Patty Wisdom. He can play. He can play left field. He can play first base. He can play third base. Those are the type of guys you want on your team. He has power. He could pinch hit. Frank Swindell. He's proven and I threw this out to some people on Twitter. Could you see that him become a DH in the future? He has high contact. He's hitting every in AAA like crazy. He doesn't strike out and he doesn't walk, but he hits the ball and puts the ball in play a ton. He has pretty good pop. Yeah, I think in AAA, I think he had 26 home runs. I mean, I don't see him as being our future first baseman. Don't get me wrong.
I think it's interesting because I like just thinking through that, like keeping all those guys. So then, are you looking at picking up a couple of kind of big name outfielders? Because you've got Nico and hopefully Madrigal kind of up the center. Maybe a first baseman as your fielding pickups. And then really it's focusing then on the starting pitchers in relief.
Yeah,
is it pitchers?
I actually think next year is going to kind of be like a season-long tryout for like Keegan Thompson and Justin Steele and Millsy. Of course, Kendricks is going to be there. So I think next year is going to be a true developmental year, and Alzolay is going to be a developmental year for like the back end of the rotation. But yeah, I don't know who you get on you sign for like a 1 to 2, no more than the 3-year deal that can come and play, be like the role players, because if they field the same roster that we're playing with right now, this next year's season is going to be as ugly as this season. Know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm really glad Mitch decided to fucking ditch us mid-episode.
Yep, he just wandered off. Well, there he is.
What are you doing? Did a circuit breaker trip in your house?
No, my computer shut down.
You're using your wrong mic.
Just keep going.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree, Jeff. I think it's going to be like, so do you see them trying to find that reclamation or that project starter, that like maybe a veteran type of guy, or is it we roll with the rotation that we kind of have, and it's more of relievers that we focus on?
I think relievers. I really don't think they're gonna like sign a pitcher that's could be an ace somewhere or a number 2 guy. I just don't see that happening next year. And honestly, with the youth that we have in the farm system that are they're supposed to be rising stars, like the Howard, Brennan Davis, Miguel Amaya, and a few others that we picked up like through the trade deadline this year. I don't know how long they're going to be willing to sign one of these top free agents that are coming up at the end of this year, like Carlos Correa. Do we really need? How long are we going to really need like a Correa or a Seager if we have all these middle infielders that are coming up?
Well, here we go. Would you go out? Let's say Castellanos opts out after this season or next season. Would you go get him? And let's say the DH comes to the NL. That's like a perfect fit.
Yep.
Yeah, I would go get him. If that were the scenario, I would go after him, because I know there's probably 500,000 to 1.5 million Cub fans that are hoping that they re-sign one of the 3 core players that we let go. This is not going to happen. I don't ever see any of those players ever wearing the Cubby pinstripes ever again. So if Castellanos did opt out, I'd say go right after him. But then again, he's played on a lot of losing ball clubs. How excited would he be to come back to play on a team where he knows it's going to be at least one season or maybe 2 before they're really competitive and going, what I mean?
Right. And would he sign a contract that's friendly to the team trading him at the next deadline if they start tanking? He's probably going to have the type of contract where he can opt out. Granted, that can work as well, because then he can put in for the teams that are competitive that year.
I've always been told that players want 2 things in their career. They want to win a championship and they want to get paid. And
Oh, definitely.
usually it goes in that order.
Order.
So once they win a championship, then they're all about getting paid, and rightfully so.
Oh yeah.
But Castellanos hasn't won a championship yet,
Right.
so he's going to do anything. He might take less money to win a championship.
If he sees the writing on the wall with the Cubs with a big push in 2023, 2024, is he willing to come over here and sign a team-friendly deal for 5 years or something?
But that's where our front office has to show him something. They have to do something first. They have to make the first move. They have to show. It's going to be hard. Whoever they get to be that first guy, they're going to have to kind of overpay. And they have the money, especially with Hayward coming off the books here in a couple of years. They will have the money.
So
I want to ask.
2016.
He signed
After
the 2015 after the 2015.
So that was an 8-year deal. So 2024. So we got 3 more seasons of this shit.
I think he comes off in 2023.
I really hope.
Whatever.
I really hope that that there's a team. There's a conversation, and the bench there's a nice warm padded spot for him.
Well, here Paul asks, where do we start with pitching? So with pitching, I mean, we have Steele. I think is going to be a decent. The question I have with him, and that's why what we need to be looking for the rest of the season is Steele a bullpen guy or is he a starting pitcher? Because right now you see the first 2 outings, he's pitched really well the first and second time through the order. It's the third time through the order is when he's gotten roughed up. And you need a starting pitcher to be able to go at least 3 times through.
Right. So that was like the storyline for the Cubs in April is all our starting pitching, we're having a hard time with that third time through. But like what you were indisposed for a few minutes ago, Kevin and I were talking, and I really think next season is going to be like an open tryout for like Justin Steele and Keegan Thompson next year.
I think that's what is the rest of the season. I think Thompson
this year and next.
I think Thompson gets 1 more down at Iowa, and he needs his pitch count to be like 10 more pitches up, get into the 70s. Because last time he pitched, I think he had 60 pitches in his last outing. He has not given up a run yet as a starter at Iowa.
Just to jump in real quick, he was named the AAA East Pitcher of the Week.
But
so
that's
he's
where
doing really well down there at Iowa right now.
But that's where you have those two. Alzolay, I still think he has the stuff in the makeup to be a number 2. It's going to be, can he figure it out a little bit more? Can he get lefties out? Can he get a secondary pitch that can get lefties out? And then we have a ton of money. We can go spend. We can go get pitching. I mean, the last time we did this kind of rebuild thing was we drafted position players and went out and got pitching. We got a Lackey. We got a Hamels. We got a Lester. We got all of our pitching off picking people up. We went and traded and got Arrieta. We traded and even got Hendricks. Like the sad thing is we haven't only had 8 starting pitchers that we've drafted pitch for the Cubs in the last like 10 years that's made a start. So it's just bad. So I did want to ask you, like, be honest. Are you watching these games?
I am watching a handful of innings. Like when it starts to get ugly, I'm like, this is like watching vultures pick at a gut wagon. It's not pretty.
The hard thing for me was as soon as they made all the trades, and then we had to listen to Beth. Was it what?
Beth
Mowins
for like a week. And it's like, okay, one, you trade all of our players, and then you're like throwing us this outsider. It's not that she's a female broadcaster. I don't care. Like female broadcasters. It's like that you are throwing somebody that we're not used to hearing, that we have to be forced to listen to. It's like, give me somebody that I relate to. I need a voice that, like, I need a Pat in there. Pat Hughes to kind of make me feel okay. And it's like, I stopped watching the games. I've been listening to the radio a lot because I can't stand. I need Pat and Ron to tell me everything's okay.
Right. They've been through this. They get through it.
Some of the worst, like, I don't have any. Like, my biggest problem with Beth Mowins is she sounds like she's got a mouthful of fucking peanut butter.
And whenever I listen to her, I feel like I'm watching a college football game.
That was my thing. It was like, oh, are the Hawkeyes playing? Like,
Yeah.
like I start looking up like okay.
ESPN2 at 11 o'clock.
Right. Yeah. I mean, call's a great game. Yeah, I don't know. My schedule is ridiculously busy, so most nights in general, I wasn't getting the start of the game. I was usually doing something with the kids or whatever, and so I don't usually get to see the very beginning of a game. And so I get home and I check the score. I'm getting the score updates on my phone while I'm out at softball or whatever other stuff's going on. And it's like, yep, okay, like tonight, I would not be turning on the game after the podcast. I'm like, oh, 11-0, I'm
12.
good.
It's
12
12
now.
Sorry, yeah,
Played another one.
12-0. Yeah, I'm not going to bother turning on the game at this point. Like, nope, I'm good.
No, I'm ready to try to get some
But like
ice.
tonight,
Jeez.
I did make sure I could watch the first inning because I wanted to see Justin Steele.
Yep.
So there are little bits that I'm still trying to kind of catch.
Yeah, and Justin Steele pitched, what do you get? 4 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned runs, 3 base on balls, 5 strikeouts, and gave up that 1 home run. Yeah, I mean, that's what we have to watch, those little nuggets of how is how is Justin Steele going to perform the rest of the season? How is Keegan Thompson going to perform the rest of the season? Positionally I'm watching the wisdom at bats. I'm watching is he going to be making more contact? You've seen his home run numbers kind of drop off a little bit, but he's been putting the ball in play a lot more. He's been getting on base. Swindell, I want to see what out of him. The one thing I really hated was that Hayward came back and they put Dykeman down at the Iowa Cubs. Like, he should be up starting every day with the Cubs. We need to see what we have in him to see if he's going to be an outfielder of the future. It needs to.
And there's some other Iowa Cubs players that I really want to see up with the big team before the end of the year, like Michael Hermacio. I mean, He's killing it. He's been killing it at Iowa the whole time. He just got hurt for a while there when it would have been perfect for him to come up.
Yeah, and when he came back, he was still tearing the cover off the ball.
Yeah, I mean, he's hitting. I had him picked. He's hitting .310 this season.
Yeah,
like I don't know. It's hard. It's hard seeing Hayward grab starts and going, we know what we have there.
Yep, we've seen.
Let's get somebody else in there.
Pony show for a while.
My last $180 million right fielder that hits at second base.
He's making them second baseman work, My last question to you guys is, outside of baseball, what is something you've been watching? What is something you've been interested in or getting into lately? We're going to end with this because I've needed something to kind of get my mind off of baseball a little bit, because that's like, I just get frustrated. And I've spent the last how many months watching baseball every single night. So I've needed something to kind of change and watch. So what have you guys been into?
I watched the HBO original series, Mayor of Easttown. That was really good. It was a crime dramedy.
Nice.
Not watch that. Kevin, how about you?
Pretty good.
Folks who listened to us last year know I read a lot. Like a
Nerd.
lot. So I got into a new author, Neil Gaiman. I've been reading a bunch of his books from the library this summer. We've been taking the kids there a lot. So, but he's interesting because he not only writes books, he does a lot of stuff for TV and movies. Like the Lucifer TV show, he's a writer there. American Gods on Stars is actually based on one of his books. Good Omens is based on one of his books.
Oh, okay.
Stuff like that. So he's kind of an interesting author that I've been following. And I know Jeff's still reading Moby Dick from last year, so we got
Jeff. When was the last time you've entered a library?
Actually, Jeff reads.
I walk past one every day when I'm on my afternoon walks after work. It's been within a year that I've been in the library, but I think it's because I was at home and I needed to use a printer.
I know. Last February you were in the library because we were all in the Ankeny library.
Oh
yeah. Yep, I was there.
I have been watching Ted Lasso on Apple TV. this is like, I love this show. I cannot rave about it enough. Like, Ted Lasso has helped me become more positive person, but the whole story is that a football team in England.
So it's soccer for those of you that don't know anything about across the pond living.
Football.
Their new owner, who's female, her husband cheated on her and she wants to like ruin the club. And so she hires a college football coach from America that coached at Wichita State to come over and be the head coach. And he's like this overly optimistic, always thinks positive, always like coming up with these things to like make the team like happy and stuff. And she wants to kind of sabotage it and everything, but has Jason Sudeikis. Did I say his last name?
Yeah,
Sudeikis. It's hilarious. I love it. Like, it's so good. It's so good to watch. So highly recommend checking out Ted Lasso on Apple TV. It's great. All right, that's all we have here for the Dingers podcast. Let's keep losing. Let's get that fourth spot. Fourth or third. I think that we could go for 3. I think that it's doable with our schedule.
Number 3. Yep.
With everything that we have. Oh, that's the wrong one. With everything that we have going, I think 3 is possible. I think we can catch the Pirates, guys. I think we can do it.
We got to be the best in the division, or best at being the worst.
Like runs given up. Like if we wind up with the same record, like what's the tiebreaker?
I think it's head to head.
Oh, that sucks, because if it was runs given up, we'd win that in a foot race.
Well, we've been adding to that number a ton lately, so that's really helping us.
What I can't believe is we're in the top of the 8th. We got the bases juiced.
Hey, Jeff, real quick. We're brought to you by Toppling Goliath Beer. Jeff, do you know what their slogan is?
Something about big taste brewed in small batches.
No, big beer. Really close. Big beer brewed in small batches.
That's right.
There you go.
And
get yourself some Toppling Goliath.
Picturesque Decorah, Iowa.
Yep.
Truly is beautiful.
All right. Well, that does it for episode 53 of the Dingers podcast. Hang in there, guys. Things will get better here for the Cubs, and we can have some fun with this and still focus on the Cubs by just changing our focus to let's tank the
Wisdom's up to bat. He's my dinger pick of the night. You want to see if he hits a Grandy?
Yeah, you know what's nuts about this? You guys have been getting... He just did?
No.
Oh. You guys have been getting dingers amidst all this.
Yeah, pick the right guy. Schwindel, man. Going Schwindel the rest of the season. All right, that does it for episode 53 of the Dingers podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Dinger Cubs. Join our Facebook group. All the places you can find our podcast, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all those places, Spotify. Thanks for listening.
Good night, John Boy.